So Damian, we're actually living this sequester now. Outside of newspaper headline writers, is anybody noticing?
I think people are starting to get anxious, especially in military bases. We're seeing a bunch of furloughs are going to begin at the end of April, and so that's when I think we're going to start sort of really feeling
End of April.
the pain.
That's another
month
away.
Month. That's right. But I think people are going to start preparing. But we're not. We're seeing long lines like at the Capitol, but it's not really affecting things other than White House tours right now. It seems. I think a lot of folks are still trying to figure out how to adjust their budgets. Community like housing organizations and things like that are trying to figure out how to set the cuts in. But the White House is still trying to get its deal. We saw the papal conclave lasted shorter than this presidential conclave of Obama popping around on the Hill all week. So
yeah, but they don't actually have to get reelected, those cardinals. It's kind of easier if they
right.
pick and that's it, and the guy's got the word of God. I'm sure Obama would go for that.
That's right. Not the most transparent process, but it seemed to have worked. Yeah.
It seems like one of those things where you don't really know what's going to be painful until it is. Like nothing's happening, and all of a sudden you get this big uproar because there's some grant program in some small town that's really important to like feeding babies or something. And
Damian's been looking for that for days. He's asked everybody on the street.
That's right.
So Sarah, the president's been up on the Hill. It's like all of a sudden he's discovered that there's another branch of. So is it like a spectacle up there when he comes
he
up?
has managed to find his way from the White House to the Capitol, which is not super far. And yes, I think a spectacle is a good way to describe what is happening. Basically, you have reporters hurtling over other reporters to get like the first Instagram of the president on Capitol Hill. But in reality, I mean, people get irritated with the White House press corps, people get irritated with the congressional press corps, and so what better to do than put them all in one roof and have them all chasing after the same lawmakers and trying to get a glimpse of the president. It was insane up there.
Well, I mean, I think that the big question now is this theater, is the president doing this outreach because his poll numbers have gone down and he wants to look more cooperative? Or is there something really afoot that could lead to some budget agreement down the road this summer?
I mean, what we saw right after the election was the congressional leaders from the Republican side and the president both said, let's put the past behind us, put the election behind us, and work together, try to get a deal. That was a disaster.
That lasted about 15 minutes.
Exactly, complete disaster. And so now I think he's making a more measured approach. They're not really negotiating right now. They're just trying to rebuild the trust that they never really had in the first place. So I think that's what they're kind of doing right now.
And the House and Senate, our budget committees are coming out with their proposals, and they're like at different ends of the spectrum.
That's
it's like
right.
We've gone back 3 years.
Yeah, and then the president's is going to come, the second week of April. So we're going to have to wait. This process is going to draw on for a while for sure.
And where does it come to a head? We've had these series of mini explosions with debt limit talks and sequesters and the fiscal cliff. What's the next mini explosion that could actually force them to go beyond nice outreach and make some decisions?
I mean, it seems like the next real explosion could be the debt ceiling, maybe in July or August. I mean,
Oh my God!
Republicans, do they
We
want
want
to
to relive
fight
that
fight?
again, right?
yeah, I mean, the Republicans want to fight the fight. The White House says they won't, but how can they not fight the fight if push comes to shove? So it sounds like they've sort of cleared up some of the other underbrush. The CR has been sort of taken care of. But that's the real kind of pressure point that I think markets are going to be watching really closely.